Hello and welcome to another episode of the Space Update right here on the Total Space Network. Coming up on today's show, Astroscale run into problems with their space junk removal test satellite. Rocket Lab prepares for booster catch of Electron, and a lot more space news. Also live tonight for the SpaceX CSG-2 launch with Rich and Miko just a little bit later on, so don't go anywhere after our show. Buckle up, grab a coffee or a beer, whatever suits you. And let's get this show started. Also joining me today is...
Audio's not pushing.
Hello, everybody. Sorry about that.
Hey.
Rich LB here from Becoming Multiplanetary with Ryan today on his episode of the Space Update. And stick around after the show, and you'll be with myself and Miko for the launch. Miko.
Yeah. Hi, Mikko from the Deep Dive. Well, let's see how the space news are, and after that, we'll be tuning to the SpaceX launch. Go ahead, Ryan.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Don't do that to me, Rich. I had an absolute heart attack then. I thought nothing was working. But let's just move on to the launch update. We've obviously got SpaceX tonight with the Falcon 9 Block 5 CSG-2 launch with Rich and Miko just 11 minutes past 11 UTC here in the UK. And then looking to next week on January 29th, we've got another set of Starlink satellites going up on yet another SpaceX Falcon 9 launch, and there's quite a few built for this month, next month, and the rest of the year. SpaceX heading for another record launching year by the looks of it. But just firing off with the first topic, Astroscale said that on January 26th, it's paused an attempt to autonomously capture an in-orbit satellite for the first time after detecting an anomaly in their spacecraft. The company's 175 kilogram spacecraft was preparing to make an attempt on January the 25th after separating from a 17 kilogram client satellite acting as a piece of debris, just spinning away in space for on-orbit demonstration for capture and docking. While the service had successfully used its magnetic docking plate, which, if those of you who've seen the interview with us here on Total Space, they've produced a magnetic docking plate to get close enough. It doesn't have to link or anything like that, just magnetic, just connects in space. But they've successfully tested that. But on August the 25th, a test demonstration aimed to use the autonomous capabilities for a larger scale mission. However, Astroscale said the company detected an anomaly with that after pushing it a little bit further, and the satellite began its autonomous relative navigation, maintaining a constant safe distance from the client spacecraft over many orbits as the company prepared for recapture. So a few issues ongoing with that. Before I get your guys' input on that, Astroscale officially said for the safety issues on the mission, we decided not to proceed with the capture attempt until the anomalies are resolved. Both spacecraft are operational and safely separated. We are in communication with agencies, regulators, space surveillance networks, and our orbital neighbours. The company added still plans to continue the end-of-life services Astroscale demonstration, or ELSA-D for short, if it makes life easy for you guys, and it will provide an update as soon as possible. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? A few little issues with the demo mission there, but hopefully you can iron it out.
So I remember the interview we had with Harriet Brettel, and it was a really, really interesting interview. I highly recommend, if you guys haven't watched that yet, if you go check it out on our channel, the chat we had with Astroscale. And I really, really was rooting for them, honestly, like genuinely rooting for them, still am. And I mean, yes, of course, we have this setback right now, but if the ELSA-D proves to be as viable as I think it will be, then it's going to open the door to a new industry in space, in LEO.
Yeah, and those docking plates are already on. We've seen the OneWeb satellites up in space for the British internet constellation, if you like. It's coming online hopefully the end of this year. Those electromagnetic docking plates are actually on those satellites. So once this test is successful in 10, 15, 20 years, Astroscale can go up, grab over the OneWeb satellite, deorbit it, or extend the life of it, which they can also do by docking onto it, which is really fantastic.
Yeah, and I do think it's always good to take some time to go back and see the data so you don't break things. Because I think they will get it right within a few weeks or months. It's not going to fall out of orbit anytime soon.
Yeah. So best of luck to all the Astroscale team, and hopefully it'll have a little patch and upgrades there, and it'll work like a dream. Now,
Absolutely.
SpaceX, we haven't seen a massive amount of action down at Boca Chica in terms of rocket launches and actual testing. There's been a lot of construction on various other vehicles and the tower itself. What we have seen is more work continuing on the orbital launch pad, and more importantly, the capture tower itself. Those chopsticks are finally moving and building up some muscle ahead of the potential SN20 lift test for the integration to the booster at a later date. We've got seen SN20 moved almost right next to the capture tower, or tower, launch tower. It's a mixture of things now. It's launch tower, capture tower, integration, fueling tower, bit of everything now. So what do you think we're going to see next with that? A potential lift with SN20, or what do you guys think?
They will be going for the full stack soon, and well, they can't really do a full static fire without the environmental assessment or the decision if they have to do that. But yeah, I think they will do the full stack and still train the arms that will catch the booster.
Just a little bit of getting a bit of muscle.
Yeah.
But
all I'm going to say on the matter is SpaceX got some balls, man. Like they and they can lift, bro. Like So I think, jokes aside for a minute, I think the next thing that I'd like to see from that is an actual lift, maybe a lift of the booster by itself, to try that. Maybe a lift of the ship first, if they can have the ship mounted at the ground next to it and then lift that up. Have something like that, or then lift the booster after, because we've already had the mass simulation with the bags, and they seem to work okay. Although we did see it, I think when it got to a certain height, did it not struggle a little bit?
I think it just slowed down, whether it was struggling or it was just coming up to its maximum height. We don't really know yet, because we don't know if it's completely finished, or whether there's another crane mechanism to go onto it to make it work even harder. But SN20 is right next to the tower now, so I'm assuming it's going to try and hold on to those two flaps that are obviously sticking out. But I imagine they'd have to be perfectly aligned to not slip, and then the entire thing just fall down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But if they do make a mistake and SN20 falls, they do have other ships in production, so I think they would be ready with another ship before the environment assessment.
I mean, it'd be a risky move, but doing the lift and everything, but it's what it's made for, and they need to do that test whether they like it or not. And if it happens to destroy SN20, so be it, kind of thing. It's all part of the fun and games for them.
So before we move on off the topic, I want to get you guys' opinion on this, and possibly you guys in chat as well. Like, what are your opinions on this? When do you think we'll actually see the orbital flight test?
I want to say June myself. It's going to take a few months because February the 28th to was it February the 28th to like end of February for the actual environmental review. So I'd imagine that beyond that point is the static fire of the booster. Whatever comes after that, I imagine it'll take a good month or two to iron out everything else.
Yeah,
If the booster doesn't go to plan, it knocks it back a month or two straight away to booster 5, 6, 7, whatever it might be.
Yeah, you are probably right. I would maybe guess May, but if the environmental assessment will be made fully, I think the launch may not even happen this year, because if they will do the environmental assessment, they may have to launch from Florida, and there's basically no infrastructure at the moment, so they would need to build all the towers there.
Yeah, won't take them long though.
Yeah.
The speed at which they build things is just incredible when you think about it. It's just I don't know, just whether it's too simplified or whether everyone goes overcomplicated. You just need the fine middle ground. 'Cause it seems like the Starbase has just sprung out of nothing compared to a lot of other things we've seen.
So for the orbital tower, the actual component that I would think that would be the most difficult to get is the big crane winch that they have at the bottom. I remember they bought that specially in for the orbital launch tower.
Yeah. But they've got the big crane winch and all sorts. I mean, the big massive crane as well. It's just absolutely insane, that thing. But I mean, we've got another booster waiting in the wings, as well as the booster 4 all geared up for the static fire eventually. So we've got 2 boosters waiting in the wings. We've got obviously SM-20. We've got all sorts at the moment. So I think it's just going to come to a standstill to a certain point in the middle of February until that environmental review comes through for essentially almost any testing, because we know Starship now can do static fires, but they need to do more than a static fire. They need to chuck something up in the air now, don't they, essentially, and get that booster static fire out of the way, which will be earth-shattering, literally.
Yeah, and well, if that happens and their production will stall, I think they would have time to focus more on the lunar Starship, the human landing system.
Yeah, and bring in Raptor 2 as well, because we've seen SpaceX's engine test facility almost testing Raptor 2 daily at the moment. Tests being carried out, heading towards that all-important flight test at some point this year, we're all thinking. But I'm hopeful for a launch by June. Maybe they'll have time to switch all the engines over to the new Raptor 2s, and we might see, as Elon stated, Raptor 2 is a hell of a lot more powerful, reliable, and as he stated in recent videos, a lot more simpler in terms of design and aesthetics and the way it looks and everything. So it'll be interesting to see that. But onto Rocket Lab, a little bit of news from them. They've got a launch coming up fairly soon, but we've seen over on their Twitter page, they've been gearing up for a drop testing and capture of their Electron rocket earlier this week. So hopefully we're finally going to see a reused Electron booster at some point in 2022 maybe. But I'm really excited to see this and see it actually work on one of the live launches and the live streams. Apparently they haven't missed the catch yet according to Peter Beck, so let's hope he doesn't have to eat another hat. But we had the guys on the show, and hopefully Rocket Lab are going to come back on again and talk to us about the reusability of all this technology and what they're exactly planning to do with the boosters. So hopefully a little bit later this year we'll bring that all to you right here on Total Space. But are you guys looking for the capture test with Electron?
Yeah, if I remember rightly, isn't the mission called Without Mission a Beat? Like Without Mission a Beat, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and it's on Valentine's Day now. Ironically.
Like I love the Rocket Lab mission names. I really do.
Yeah.
They're really
It wasn't
clever with
It wasn't intended to be on that date. I think it was supposed to be the 12th or the 13th, but they pushed it back a day or two because the basically the clients needed an extra day or so, and Rocket Lab said if you need an extra day or two, we'll give you an extra day or two, no problem. So and it just so happened that the name kind of just lined up with Valentine's Day. So good for PR.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
But
I would think Rocket Lab will be able to catch at least one rocket this year, and if it goes well, maybe a second one, but I don't think they will be able to launch the used rocket this year. So I think that would be a goal for next year.
yeah, I mean, once you start capturing the one, I think the rest will be reasonably easy because it seems like they got it nailed to almost a T, the way it's designed, the way it's captured. They've done the basic weighted test and dummy test runs and everything, return it back to land. So I imagine hopefully be able to see all future ones captured, and then they can reuse at least 80% of it or even more. Obviously, the engines might not be able to be reused to a certain extent, or they might just be able to repurposed in some way. But it'll be exciting to see what they do and how they go about it. Obviously, the main body's carbon fiber, as they always go on about. But so the main body of the rocket can be reused quite easily. But absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to hear more from them on this and their capstone mission. So, but if you haven't caught the interview with Rocket Lab that we had earlier last year, make sure to check that out in our interviews playlist. There's tons there. There's interviews from NASA, Rocket Lab, Astroscale, as we mentioned earlier on, and we've even got one from Orbital Assembly there. Orbital Lab with Miko and some of the other guys on here on Total Space. So that was quite an interesting one.
Yeah, the Orbital Assembly chat was really interesting with Tim Alatorre. We got to hear all about their rotating space station visions. The first thing being the gravity ring that's being launched in 2023, all being to plan. And that is going to be the first on-orbit demonstration of construction technology in orbit using the P-Star robot, which is... is it... P-Star. I know it's the star stands for Structured Truss Assembly Robot. And I think the P is, if I remember right, is Pioneer class. I think, if I remember correctly. Yes. Sorry to interrupt. In terms of becoming multiplanetary, it's currently in the middle of a reformat. We're going to be formatting it into a new format. And for you this week, we have a special reveal of what the new intro looks like. And here it is right now. So, let us know in the comments what you thought of that, and look forward to, I think within a week or so, the first episode should be surfacing, and it looks completely different to what your average becoming multiplanetary looks like, so definitely look forward to that.
Yeah, and lots of improvements all around. Great intro, that Rich, and lots more improvements all around, including the live streams and everything. But we're just about wrapping up the space update here, but stay with us. We're going to be live for the SpaceX launch live stream and everything for CSG-2 very, very shortly. But while you're here, if you haven't done already, go like this live stream, go subscribe. More importantly, go and support us on patreon.com/total space. So you'll gain access to our exclusive Discord community, exclusive offers on merch, get a chance to meet and chat with our guests that we have on the show, NASA, Rocket Lab, Rogue Space, Orbital Assembly Corporation, various scientists from the space community, and so much more. And I believe me, correct me if I'm wrong, you can actually sign up right here on YouTube now as a member.
There is indeed a join button.
But yeah, you can join us right here on YouTube now. But if there is any questions before we wrap up, fire away. But like I say, we've got the SpaceX launch coming up very shortly with Rich and Miko. I'll be nipping off for the night and I'll hand off to the guys. So, but thanks for joining us this week on this week's Space Update, and I'll catch you next week. But what we've got coming up tonight, guys, it's another SpaceX booster launch and everything. A return to landing, I think, this one.
Sorry, I was just answering a question in the comments there. So we had a question from a viewer saying, have we done a video on the Intuitive Machines moon missions? And I replied with, I don't believe we have.
Yeah, that sounds like a deep dive.
That does sound like a deep dive.
Yeah. Let's wait a few weeks and I might do it. Right, so while we are waiting for the SpaceX launch, I actually have a couple of ideas we could do, but first, let's say hi to the people in chat. There's Gerard. Hi, welcome. And Stinger is also watching. Yeah, that's about it. If there are anyone else, go
There
ahead.
are a few people in there, but we have some quiet folk in chat tonight. But I'm sure that'll change as the night goes on.
Yeah. So Rich, would you tell our viewers how we are going to restructure our show?
Yeah, that's not a problem. So as you've seen here today, we have this particular live stream where all three hosts were in attendance. The idea being is that we're going to have one live stream a week. And on that live stream, there will be pre-cut episodes of Becoming Multiplanetary, Deep Dive, and the Space Update. Now, the Space Update sometimes may be pre-cut, sometimes may be live, depending on the content. Sometimes, if it's an interview, it will normally be pre-cut. That's due to whenever we do interviews, we always let the people that we interview have first look at the edit so that they're happy with the release and, respecting the company and whatnot. So yeah, so we have the live stream. Those 3 episodes will be there. And then over the course of the following week, after the live stream, you will see the episodes release as individual videos on the channel. So you'll still be able to see them individually if you don't want to go back into the live stream to have to find the episodes in the middle of them. So, and that's how it's going to be week in, week out.
Yeah. And for my first topic, I will be doing a wrap-up of SpaceX early history, as I have been listening to Eric Berger book, Liftoff, for the second time. And by the way, if you haven't listened or read it, you probably should. You will like it. All right, Stinger is saying it's not looking good for launch, but we will see if it gets delayed or not. But a couple things I had in mind, we could make some predictions for this year. What launchers will launch this year? So what do you think when Vulcan will launch?
Vulcan.
Or will it launch this year?
If there's going to be another Vulcan launch, I can almost guarantee you the customer is going to be the US Space Force. For sure, I think.
Yeah, could be.
I think it'll be a military mission. Probably, aren't they still rolling out GPS-3, or is that done now?
I don't think it's done yet.
Yeah.
Those could be some, but I think the first mission is supposed to be a mission to the moon.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if the payload is ready or are the Blue Origin engines ready yet. So I would guess if it launches this year, it will be fourth quarter of this year.
News just in, folks. Hold on.
Yep. SpaceX is saying due to unfavorable weather, now targeting Friday, January 28 at 6:11 p.m. EST. So they delayed for 24 hours.
Well, there you have it, folks. It's a scrub. Oh,
Yeah, I think it probably was due to the recovery weather, since I think the forecast was saying the weather would be pretty bad in the recovery area.
I'm gonna need to go write a song.
Yeah. But shall we go over a couple of other launchers before we?
Yeah, sure. We've got time.
So, small launchers. Who will be launching this year? Who will be getting to orbit? There would be
now
Firefly.
Then
There's
Astra.
ABL.
Astra as well.
Yeah, I think Astra got into the orbit already. But then there's Terran. So,
yeah, Terran.
Yeah. And of course, not forgetting the UK one, Skyrora, Orbex. So, how many new small sat launchers will get into orbit this year?
Into orbit. That's a toughie. I don't know. If I was a betting man, I might say Firefly.
Yeah, I would say Firefly is a good choice. ABL would have been if they hadn't blown up the second stage.
Oh man, yeah. Oh dear. So, being that the launch has been scrubbed, we are so very sorry. These things happen. See Scrubtober, for instance. That was a crazy month for scrubs, hence Scrubtober. And let's hope that this is not the beginning of Scrubabuary as we move into February. Well, that's really good to say.
Yeah.
But thank you all for coming along to watch with us tonight, and thank you for engaging in the chat as always. Really appreciate all of you coming to see us here at Total Space. It's why we do what we do and why we keep doing what we do for you guys. So thank you all very for coming and watching. And Mikko?
Yeah, it was fun to be live for a while. And yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time.